Alright, so I guess this is going to be take three now. First one, I couldn't keep the thoughts in my head. The second one, I forgot to, well, my microphone wasn't working right and got like 5 minutes into it, and now we're here. So, I made a bit of a mistake here. Say a bit. So, I did what I typically do whenever I'm looking for something to read. Just go on Google and I search up a very generic phrase, dark manga slash anime to read or something like that, and I look through all the lists and see if anything looks interesting. So I ended up on one that I've seen a couple times throughout these searches, but there's always something a little more interesting to read, something like The Horizon or Frisia or shit. There's been a bunch now, and none of the others are coming to my mind. But this one, it was called The Flowers of Evil. Um, I was looking into a little bit, like a very little bit. I just went, huh? The art seems kind of dope, and the and what you call it, and like the cover. I'm all like, all right, it's got me interested. I like the title. I like the cover. Let's dive into this a little bit. Um, so the first thing that I do is I search it up on MangaDex to see if it's on there. You know, MangaDex is free. I know how to use it, and it's just kind of where I go. And it's never really led me astray or disappointed me. So I looked it up on there, and I found it on MangaDex. Did I say the name of it? The name of it's the Flowers of Evil. Pretty sure. And well, I just saw that it was on there, and I went, all right, clicked it, and started reading. What turns out, I was reading the manhwa called. It's properly called The Flower of Evil, but in MangaDex it's called The Flowers of Evil, and not the manga that I wanted to be reading. So made a little bit of a mistake, and let me tell you, this thing was wild. This thing was, whew. So let's just say the first word, it was taboo, extremely taboo. The thing that kept me reading was honestly start out with curiosity, and then it evolved into a morbid curiosity to see just how far it would go. Um, so I don't remember if this take. No, I don't think I said it yet. This take. That originally, so like it was a bit, I'm gonna say, rough reading. So the art and the translations kind of rough. Um, the art, like, everyone looked the same except for the eyes and the hair were different in the beginning. I think it got better near the end. Everyone actually properly looked different, like different facial structures, body structures, stuff like that. Um, and the translations were, whew, they were rough. They were rough. Um, I'm not going to sit here and rag on the translators. I do honestly think that they did their best. Like, they had a bunch of little footnotes saying that, oh, well, this is the word that the kanji translate to, but well, I think it's still called kanji in Korea. I might be wrong. I might be using the wrong word. I'm sorry. I'm ignorant, and I didn't look it up beforehand. But had little footnotes saying, well, this is the kanji used. It translates directly to this, but it's more so like it translates to man, but used in this context, it's supposed to be more like Mister, uh, things like that. So I think that they did their best, but it was still took some getting used to. Um, the story in general, it was about a pair of twins that I'm gonna say they loved each other a little too much. Um, and it starts off, I'm gonna say, I can't even say kind of innocent. It starts off where it just shows the twins, how they interact with each other, the world around them, and how they are essentially obsessed with each other. They love each other more than anything else. But this, uh, at first, like, it's weird. Like, you can just say it's weird. Like, they're sleeping together, they are doing everything together. They might as well be conjoined at the hip. Um, but this kind of culminates and starts to change in the first couple chapters, where I said it's taboo and it's weird, where they're caught making out with each other essentially by one of their classmates. And the classmate confronts the boy about it. So the boy's name is Sejun, and the female's name is Sewa, and the boy that catches them, his name is Jihoon. Um, I'm probably butchering these names. They're Korean, I think. Could be wrong about that too. But I'm butchering these, so please pardon my ignorance. Um, but they get caught by him, and he confronts the male, and he's all like, "Yo, that's fucked up and weird. You should not be doing that, man." And Sejun, the male, he takes out the heart. He's all like, "That is kind of weird. I like it. Makes me feel bad being called out for that. So I don't want to feel bad about that anymore." So he essentially cuts his sister off cold turkey. Where and this it shows just how unhealthy their relationship is, because it drives her insane, because she's always with him all the time, and all of a sudden he's all like, "No, I don't want you around. I'm going to hang out with my friends, and I'm not telling you that I'm not coming home, and you're not coming." And it shows just how unhealthily codependent and obsessed she is with him, where she just blind rage and jealousy and just like hatred towards the people he's with, and then eventually towards him. And then it culminates and gets so much worse whenever Sejun ends up finding a love interest, and he starts going out with her. He starts being around her and doing things with her all of the time. And this just drives his sister mad. Some of the things that she would do, like besides just throwing huge tantrums, breaking shit, smashing shit, hurting herself in the process, is like if they'd be out in public or something, she would go and fake an illness. She'd like just fall over and pretend to faint and pretend to be unconscious, because in the beginning of the story, that would always cause her brother to run over to her aid, like a white knight in shining armor. But as he's pushing her away, he's ignoring her. He's going, "It's all fake. I know it's fake. She knows it's fake. I want nothing to do with this." And what this ends up doing is, so the guy that ended up catching them, his name was Jihoon, like I said, he ends up being interested in Sewa, which is the girl twin. So he ends up seeing that like she's being impacted negatively by this, to where like she is so dependent on him that she literally can't function without him. So he confronts Sejun about this, and Sejun essentially goes, "If you don't like it, why don't you step up and do it? You be the person that she's dependent on." And he essentially goes, "All right, I guess it'll be me." Um, so that starts him getting intertwined with this weird love thing that's going on. So Sewa is still very much needs Sejun's attention, and now Jihoon is trying his hardest to essentially get in between them for that. At first, she wants nothing to do with him, like, understandably so. She doesn't see anybody but Jihoon. Or, not Jihoon, but Sejun, I'm sorry. She sees nobody but her brother. Her brother is her world. It is described in the manhwa at one point in time that she said ever since she was born, because she was born second, she came out only seeing her brother. At one point in time, that was all she saw was her brother, and ever since that moment, that is all she has ever seen. So Jihoon really has his work cut out for him. So at this point he has some sort of an interest, some sort of a love interest with her, and he is persistent, and he has to be persistent, even though she shoots him down, cuts him down every chance she gets, just says no, slams doors in his face, doesn't say thank you whenever he helps her, doesn't care that he's around. He's just there trying, and eventually he does slowly make headway. She does slowly start to trust him. She does slowly start to shift over to him. And whenever this happens, it's revealed that so essentially Sejun, like, he was only really confident and comfortable having the relationship he had with I'm gonna say her name's Suin. He did end up having a love interest, getting a love interest, and going out with her. I don't remember if I said that earlier, if that was in a different take. Man, I'm bad at this. But he was only confident in himself in that relationship as long as his sister was chasing him, essentially. As long as his sister still only saw him and only wanted him. As soon as her attention started going to Jihoon and she started prioritizing him more, then the what you call it? Not the relationship. essentially the rules reversed to where now it is Sejun chasing his sister. Now to Sejun chasing Seiwa, where his relationship essentially crumbles because he's no longer getting the attention from his sister and he wants it back. Um, and it all culminates, it all comes up to a head to where essentially Jihoon wins. But at one point in time, there is this weird B plot with Jihoon, where Jihoon, so he was friends with them in, it says elementary school, but every time schooling is mentioned, they're always in elementary school. I think they're in high school now. We're talking like seniors kind of high school, and whenever they say elementary school, they're talking like grade school, like second grade or something. They were all friends then, and the twins were pulled out of school and they moved somewhere else. It wasn't directly said that the cause. So hold on, let me reword that a little bit. It wasn't. Yeah, it was never stated that the cause was because of this illness that was brought up later that the twins have. Well, the illness is always there for Seiwa. The illness is always there. She's always been sickly. She's always been frail. It's part of the reason that she really depended on her brother. It wasn't revealed what that was or why that was until later, but it's kind of revealed. But I'm guessing that this thing that happened, which I'll talk about here in a bit, this thing that happened was the reason that they moved. And it's kind of tied in that he knew them before. He really missed them, and that's why he ends up wanting Seiwa. But it's then later revealed that they both had a very bad heart condition they both ended up needing surgery. So Sejun just needed heart surgery essentially to go in and fix whatever was happening. And he came out, but Seiwa, she needed a full heart transplant to live. She needed a full heart transplant to continue living, to continue her existence. And it's revealed way down the line that Jihoon is, it's hinted at that he's a bad person, he has a bad past, yada yada yada, but that doesn't really go anywhere. But it's eventually revealed that he had a younger, at first they said younger brother, and then they switched it to younger sister. I don't know if that's just translation errors, so I'm going to go with sister because it was the last thing that was said, that I remember at least. So he had a younger sister that died, and yeah, and there at the end it's revealed that like she died, and then they took her heart and put it in Seiwa. So Seiwa is using Jihoon's little sister's heart, and it's revealed that originally, so things kind of culminate where the brother ends up losing his girlfriend because he ends up re-obsessed with Seiwa, ends up not really cutting it off, but essentially just uses the girlfriend to cause Seiwa to get jealous. And then the girlfriend's all like, "No, that's not kosher, bro. I ain't doing this shit. Fuck that." And she dips. So then Sejun essentially comes out once he learns all of this information, because he kind of picks up little clues, and then whenever Jihoon is essentially like there with the two of them trying to steal Seiwa, Sejun is all like, "Nah, I know why you're doing this. I don't exactly know what your plan is or what you're going to do once you get it, but I know that you only want Seiwa because Seiwa has your sister's heart in her. I don't know if you're planning on stealing it or something, but that's kind of fucked up." And then that kind of breaks Seiwa's heart, being all like, "I actually trusted this person. I actually loved this person, and now I realize he was just trying to use me for something." So then that causes the twins to kind of come back together, and it culminates into something abhorrent where, like, I'm not even gonna sugarcoat this, that they end up fucking that night, which very fucked up, very taboo. And the brother ends up getting up like really early in the morning and going to church, which Jihoon ended up introducing Sejun to the church. I think he introduced them both, but Sejun is the only one that like actually started attending somewhat. But he ended up going and confessing that he sinned, he knew he sinned, and he did, but he didn't really feel guilty about it. Um, and it just so happens that Ji-hoon was, I think, in the other confession booth, or he was somewhere that he shouldn't have been, and he heard all of it. And, well, he confronts Sejun about it later that day, and they end up fighting. And then Ji-hoon's all like, I'm telling your parents. To where then Sejun is all like, oh shit, like he is in a tizzy because remember, he doesn't want to be socially ostracized for it. He doesn't want his life to go crumbling down like that. And he knows that if the parents find out about that, the twins are going to be separated. So he picks up a rock and beats Ji-hoon to death. Whew. Now, right there is where I had to stop. And it's because, like, my brain, there was a lot of stuff that happened in about a chapter and a half. Like, so, the, the revelation of the heart transplant, and Ji-hoon's sister's heart being in, in Sehwa, and then the twins fucking, and then the confessing, and then the Ji-hoon getting beat to death with a rock. All of that happened in the span of like a chapter and a half. So I went, I need to process this. So I put it down for a bit. I just picked it back up. So I was just reading it earlier today. Picked it back up like an hour and a half later, after writing some stuff down because like I just wanted to get it out of my head, so that I could think about it, and then just in case something happened I couldn't get back to it and make this video, I would have all of this to read back over. But I did get back to it. So afterwards, oh, my brain just stopped working. So afterwards, they afterwards, after the beating happens, actually there's one more thing that happened is is it Sejun? Yeah, so Sejun goes to school, which he was essentially skipping. Goes to school, grabs his sister by the wrist, and goes, "We're leaving. We gotta go." And then she just follows him because she's back to being codependent with him. However, it's shown that like she's not fully back there. She's still like she's kind of like in a half and half, to where right now she's just kind of like following her gut instincts to just do it. But it's shown later that she's not fully in it like she used to be. So they leave and go out into the countryside. Bumfuck nowhere. They don't tell anybody, obviously, because he just beat someone to death with a rock. Now, whenever he got done beating Ji-hoon with the rock, he just dropped the rock and bolted, and he ended up smacking essentially face first into someone else, and then kept running. That person then turned and saw Ji-hoon was lying unconscious on the ground, and he went, oh shit, and called 911. So Sejun, he's on the run. He just murdered somebody, took his sister with, no one knows where they are. They end up going to apparently an older relative who no longer lives there. Either they don't live there or they died. An old abandoned house that was in the family that they used to go to when they were kids. They end up going there and just hiding out. Well, turns out, so Ji-hoon almost died. He ends up getting surgery, and he ends up living. So he didn't actually die. After I stopped reading, I had some guesses at where this was going to end. I'm sitting there going, both the twins are going to die. More than likely, what's going to happen is Sejun he's going to go out fighting. He's now shown that he had some violent tendencies. Sorry, I'm getting off on a side tangent. I meant to say this earlier. But he's shown violent tendencies, and I'm sitting here going, the cops are going to catch him. Cops are going to catch him, going to tear him apart, and he's going to go out fighting. And then whenever he goes out, his sister's going to end up essentially dying of like heartbreak. She's going to die because she's now missing the only thing she cared about. I was partially right. But also partially wrong. So whenever they're out in bumfuck nowhere, that's whenever it's revealed that the heart in Sehwa is Ji-hoon's younger siblings who died. That's when that's all revealed, because it's revealed that their father was the one taking care of the younger sibling whenever, well, his twins were sick, and essentially he convinced Jihoon's mother to essentially kill her child. He said that measles got into their brain, and they're essentially brain dead. So if you let them die, there's a way for them to live on, and it's using their organs in somebody else. Those organs, the heart obviously going to his daughter. Um, I don't know if that is confirmed as canon or it's just Jihoon's thoughts on the matter, because the dad looked horrified as he was explaining it, but he never said yes or no. So I don't know if that's what actually happened. I'm assuming because they said it in the story that is what happened. But oh shit, where was I? I lost my thought because I got on a tangent. Damn it. So let me reroll. Okay, so the twins ran off, and they're hiding out. Because of the weak hearts, essentially, they were on immunodepressants because, well, she's got someone else's heart in her body. Well, they ended up living without them for, I'm assuming, a while. They didn't say just how long. I'm assuming a few weeks, but it might have only been a few days. But it was long enough that, oh, yeah, it might have only been a few days because they left with nothing. They didn't take anything with them. So essentially, as soon as her immunosuppressants got out of her system, she died pretty quickly. So she started coughing up blood, and she just kind of passed out. In general, I should have also mentioned, so like the siblings were not getting along that well, but so Sejun was there essentially going, we have to stay out here. Sehwa didn't want to stay out there. She's all like, I'm not interested in staying out here forever. So whatever you did, I want to go home at some point. We can't be out here forever. And Sejun's all like, no. That's whenever he reveals to her that he killed her boyfriend, essentially, because he was going to tell their parents. And she ends up heartbroken by that. The one that she loved first just killed her new love, and she's honestly, she's got to be upset about it. Like, it makes sense for her to be upset. And it just kind of causes like a rift where the brother, where Sejun kind of forces her to stay because that's what he wants. He wants her and only her, and that's all he needs. And, well, once the medication wears off, she, like I said, she dies. She dies relatively quickly. He breaks because she starts coughing up blood, falls into the river, and the stream. He saves her and calls 911 and gets her to the hospital. He finally breaks, gives it up, and then he ends up calling his dad, being all like, what do I do? Here's where we are. She's sick. We need help. And she ends up dying in the hospital. So after that, it's then revealed. So Jihoon is out of the hospital, attends her funeral essentially, and goes, it's your fault. You did this to her. And then walks away. In which, well, now the brother's left alone. He is all by himself. And after that is kind of, I'm going to say, all she wrote, because he ends up going home. So he ends up, she says, like, in her dying breaths, essentially, to go get the cell phone that Jihoon bought her. I didn't mention that before. But Jihoon got her a cell phone. At least I think it was Jihoon that got it for her. And she says, go get the cell phone. And Sejun essentially says, all right, I'll do that. So he goes, gets the cell phone, returns it to Jihoon. Jihoon breaks down crying in isolation. And then Sejun goes home, and then it shows a little leap forward. I don't know if it is that same day that he returns the phone. I think it is. But he ends up lying in bed, clutching a picture, and then there's some really, I'm going to say, nice panels where his sister comes back and they sleep together again. And then whenever his mother comes to try to get him to eat, it shows a shot of him with a shot with a slit wrist, clutching a picture of the two of them, and he killed himself too. So whenever I say I was right, they did both die. Didn't quite go the way I thought it was going to, but well, they're dead. So the story, all in all, like it was really, I'm gonna say weird. I'm not gonna sit here and like recommend it to anybody because it is taboo. It is a difficult read, and it's more or less just because of the translation. It's not because like it's like super uber dark. If anything, like it's taboo and weird, and I feel like there's a lot of people that wouldn't go for that. I stomached it. I'm glad that I saw it through the end. But I can't really recommend it to people because it's weird. The premise and everything is just weird. Um, so, yeah. So I feel about that. I just wanted to get it out there. It's just an odd read. It is such a weird read. Um, but yeah. So now that I know that I read the wrong thing, I'm going to go look up the right thing and read that, and hopefully not be so weird. From what I was seeing whenever I was looking it up, the thing that I was supposed to be reading, instead of it being a oh, what's it called? Instead of being not a love story like that, that's what it's called. That's what it means. But instead of it being what you call it, a romance. Instead of it being a romance, this is what you call it. Like this is like a thriller horror kind of thing. I mean, you see, okay, this is a psychological romance. What you call it? Slice of life, fucking horror. So, I think it's gonna be more like Frisia instead of whatever it was that I just read. Okay, so I think that's about it. It took me 3 takes, but I got there. I think. Bit of rambling and a bit of brain not going linear like I would like it to be, but I got there. So I think I'm going to call it there. Bye, or see ya, or whatever.